Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now I have the pleasure to invite the Nobel Peace Prize laureate of 1991 to come forward to give us her lecture. We do not have a gold medal because it was received by your son Alexander in 1991, but I'm sure that your words to us today will be written in gold. Please.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, distinguished members of the Nobel Committee, dear friends. Long years ago, sometimes it seems many lives ago, I was at Oxford listening to the radio program Desert Island Disc with my young son, Alexander. It was a well-known program. For all I know, it still continues, on which famous people from all walks of life were invited to talk about the 8 discs, the one book beside the Bible and the complete works of Shakespeare, and the one luxury item they would wish to have with them were they to be marooned on a desert island. At the end of the program, which we had both enjoyed, Alexander asked me if I thought I might ever be invited to speak on desert island discs. Why not? I responded lightly. Since he knew that in general, only celebrities took part in the program, he proceeded to ask me with genuine interest why I thought I might be invited. I considered this for a moment and then answered, perhaps because I'd have won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And we both laughed. The prospect seemed pleasant, but hardly probable. I cannot now remember why I gave that answer, perhaps because I had recently read a book by a Nobel laureate, or perhaps because the desert island celebrity of that day had been a famous writer. In 1989, when my late husband Michael Ayres came to see me during my first term of house arrest, he told me that a friend, John Finnis, had nominated me for the Nobel Peace Prize. This time I also laughed. For an instant, Michael looked amazed. Then he realized why I was amused. The Nobel Peace Prize, a pleasant prospect, but quite improbable. So, how did I feel when I was actually awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace? The question has been put to me many times, and this is surely the most appropriate occasion on which to examine what the Nobel Prize means to me and what peace means to me. As I have said repeatedly in many an interview, I heard the news that I had been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize on the radio one evening. It did not altogether come as a surprise, because I had been mentioned as one of the front runners for the prize in a number of broadcasts during the previous week. While drafting this lecture, I've tried very hard to remember what my immediate reaction to the announcement of the award had been. I think I can no longer be sure. I think it was something like, oh, so they've decided to give it to me. It did not seem quite real, because in a sense, I did not feel myself to be quite real at that time. Often, during my days of house arrest, it felt as though I were no longer a part of the real world. There was a house, which was my world. There was the world of others, who also were not free, but who were together in prison as a community. And there was the world of the free. Each one was a different planet, pursuing its own separate course in an indifferent universe. What the Nobel Peace Prize did was to draw me once again into the world of other human beings outside the isolated area in which I lived, to restore a sense of reality to me. This did not happen instantly, of course, but as the days and months went by and news of reactions to the award came over the airwaves, I began to understand the significance of the Nobel Prize. It had made me real once again. It had drawn me back into the wider human community. And what is more important, the Nobel Prize had drawn the attention of the world to the struggle for democracy and human rights in Burma. We were not going to be forgotten.